Hey everybody, how's it going? At a certain point in time, when you start your career in cybersecurity, you're gonna have to make a choice. You're gonna have to decide which path do you wanna follow. Be it red teaming, blue teaming, purple teaming, SOC, whatever it might be. You're gonna have to make a decision. You're gonna have to make a choice. Now, I know this is going to be very challenging for a lot of you, particularly if you're getting started, particularly if you're fresh out of university or you're still at university, because at this point in time, everything is extremely interesting to you. Everything looks amazing, everything looks fascinating. You want to learn it all, you want to do it all. So it's very difficult for you to decide on which path to select. So in this video, what I want to share with you is one of the, I don't want to say biggest, but one of the main mistakes that I did in my career when I pivoted from one domain to another, how much it cost me, and how you can hopefully avoid doing such a mistake as well. A couple years into my career, so I started as a pen tester, and a couple years into pen testing, I decided I want to discover the other side of cybersecurity. I want to discover something else. Now you know it as blue teaming, red teaming. Back then it had different names. And I got a job offer doing something called breach investigation. Now, if you look at it from sort of like a bird's eye view, so to speak, it looks like a very interesting job. So the job entails you getting a server that gets hacked and trying to figure out how the hack happened, what was stolen, how was it stolen, what were the tools, techniques, etc. that were used. And to me, that sounded fascinating. That was amazing, right? Because what else do you want to know other than how other hackers operate, what is their tool set, what is their mindset, and whatnot? But then when I joined that work, when I got started in that job, I very, very quickly realized that's not something that I want to do. And it became a chore. It became a very mundane job for me to do. And it took a toll. And I didn't last long in that job. In less than a year or so, I had to move away from that job. I had to go and find something else to do. And I ended up wasting quite some time and with a big setback in my career because of that, because I made this wrong choice, this wrong decision. Just to give you an example, when you look at something like this, like breach investigation, it sounds very, very interesting, right? But you wouldn't imagine, for example, sitting for hours on no end, going through log files, line by line, trying to figure out how the hack happened. So some people thrive on this, some people absolutely love this, but I came to realize that's not something that I wanted to do. Now, if you ask me, how would you have approached this, knowing what I know right now, how would I have approached this differently? What would I have done differently? Let me tell you, let me share with you. If I were to put it in one succinct sentence or one succinct sort of description of the problem, what I did, my mistake, was overcommitment. Committing too big, too soon to a new job, to a new role. And that's not something you want to do very quickly. I changed careers, I changed companies, I changed roles, I changed management, I even changed cities. I moved from one city to another for the sake of the new job. So that was quite a big commitment very quickly, very soon, without me doing my homework. And that's something you want to avoid doing early on in your career, even later on in your career. But later on, you're going to learn how to do that on your own. You don't need me telling you this. But if you're just started, here's what I would like you to do. Here's how I would have approached it differently. First and foremost, and we talked about this in other videos, make sure that whatever ideas you have about the new role or project or domain that you're considering, these abstract ideas that you have right now, they're still abstract, they are still interests. What you want to do is you want to convert these interests into practical experience. And the way you do this is you get your hands dirty. You take some training courses. By the way, here at this point in time, you still don't want to commit too much, right? So at this point in time, you are still exploring. You're still converting this abstract, vague idea that you have about something into something that you know for a fact is true. You've experienced it yourself. So let's take a particular example. Let's say you want to get into pen testing, right? And you think pen testing is this really sexy domain that everybody's interested in and that you want to do, but that's just a vague idea right now. Is that something you're going to enjoy or not? You have to experience it for yourself. And this is when you start to try to get as much practical experience as possible. Now, when I say practical experience, that does not necessarily mean go get a job. I know some of you are still at university. It might not be possible for you to go get a job. But what I mean is start practicing and experiencing with pen testing. And I'm talking here about small commitments. I'm not talking about dropping everything and going to become a pen tester. You don't want to do that yet. That was my mistake. I completely shifted, completely changed. Do not do that yet. Right now, what you want to do is small commitments. So here are some things you can do. Start by taking small courses. There are a ton of courses online. Some of them are free. A lot of them are quite cheap, and they are a few hours in length. Take these courses because these courses will give you an idea. Now, the important thing here is that you want to be practicing along with these courses. Don't just watch the videos. The same goes for books. Read 1 or 2 books. Don't go and buy the entire library of pen testing. There is no point. Again, here you do not want to commit. And I know this sounds counterintuitive, but trust me on this. You don't want to overcommit. Commitment comes a little bit later, right? So go buy 1 or maybe 2 books maximum and go through them. But again, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are practicing along with these books. Just reading the book is not going to give you a good idea. And there are a ton of other platforms that you can use to practice pen testing. Try HackMe, Hack the Box, Hackers Academy, etc. All of these give you a really good solid foundation of what pen testing is. So that's one thing. The other thing that you want to do, and this is really important, and that was something I truly, genuinely hope and I wish that I did, and I learned my lesson since then, is that you want to talk to people that are already there, that are already doing what is it that you want to do. You want to become a pen tester? Go talk to pen testers and ask them, tell me a little bit about the life of a pen tester. How does it look like? What do you guys do? How do you spend your day? Because I bet you, no matter what courses you're doing right now, they're not going to be telling you about how do you respond to RFPs, how do you engage with customers, how do you do scoping, how do you do reporting. Yes, maybe you have to submit a report or 2, but they're not going to be QAing your report, and you're not going to be under the stress of, is my report acceptable by the customer, is my report acceptable by the management, how do I deal with these kind of things. There's a lot of things that you might not know about that you need to know about before you make a big commitment. So step number 1, experiment and experience, be it with courses, with books, with online labs, etc. Get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves, get practical hands-on experience. Step number 2, talk to people. Talk to people about what is it that you want to do. Now, this entire process, you need to expect that it's going to take some time. Again, let me re-emphasize this, you don't want to overcommit. However, you have to put some effort, you have to put some commitment, and this will vary from one person to another. So step number 3 is you want to put a clear plan on how long and how far are you willing to commit. For me, on average, and this is just me by the way, on average, it takes me about 30 hours of working/studying to figure out whether this is something that I want to do or not, and whether this is something that I want to fully commit to or not. For you, it could be something different, because maybe you're busy with university, maybe you're busy with your work, maybe you need a little bit more time, maybe you're much smarter than me. Instead of 30 hours, you need 10 hours, right? So this is something you want to gauge yourself and figure out on your own. But for me, my sort of guideline is about 30 hours or so, which is an equivalent of, by the way, going through 1 book. So going up through 1 book of, 20 something chapters, but making sure that I also practice these chapters, that gives me a very solid idea, a very good idea, whether this is something that I want to do or not. And with that, hopefully, you will be able to convert that vague notion of an idea that you have, this idealistic scenario of, blue teaming, red teaming, pen testing, reversing, etc. You're going to convert this into practical action with something that you've experienced, and then you will be able to make educated decisions on whether this is something you want to commit to or not. And hopefully you won't do my mistake and commit to a completely new job and then go and facepalm and then go and have to go find another job. All right, that's it for me for now. I hope you find this video useful, and I will see you soon in other videos.